Take a deep breath for me. Hello, I'm Kwan Siu. Chapter 14, Separation Anxiety. 2nd October 2023, Monday. Get yourself to the A&E now, ordered Dr. Devo on the phone. Again, Vano chucked me at the entrance to the hospital and I slowly made my way to the A&E, pulled out a ticket from the queue ticket dispenser and waited. Hospitals always had an increased level of activity on Mondays. It was like an unspoken jinx that boo-boos like to manifest over the weekend. Before I left on my trip to the city last week, I had a UCS test done because I had been experiencing flank pain on and off for more than 2 weeks. I knew ignoring it was foolish and careless, yet I did not want to create a false alarm or an over-dramatic situation, knowing over-treatment would involve excessive antibiotic use. However, when my condition intensified, I knew I had to find out. As the UCS test took 3 days, the impending result of the test was forgotten. With painkillers, I had gone about my agenda in the city without care. On the day I planned to return home, I received my report. It was the most bizarre outcome I had ever seen. I didn't know what to make of it. I immediately forwarded it to Dr. Devo. He called. "You have a potpourri?" He was grim. I was thinking of colony wars, but potpourri worked too. The lab had isolated 3 bacteria from the culture, and from the lack of emotion in Dr. Devo's voice over the phone, I couldn't make out if this was something he saw often or another mystifying occurrence. It could be contamination. I was trying to think of possibilities. Bacteria has to be present in large quantities to be reported, but yes, it could be contamination. But I don't think you are a novice at collecting urine samples. I can conduct a class in collecting urine samples. He immediately broke into boisterous laughter, which was alarmingly contagious because I was giggling uncontrollably too, picturing the setting and technicalities of such a class, if it ever existed, would do that to you. "What do we do now?" I asked, still trying to recover from laughing too hard. It would be easy if the separate isolates decided that they could all be sensitive to a common antibiotic, but no, everything had to be very challenging and complicated for me. "I don't even know what to prescribe you. Taking 3 antibiotics would be too much for your body to handle, and taking one and not the others would not completely treat your condition. I think it is time we treat this properly. You have been having the pain for how long now? 1 month? 2 to 3 weeks, I estimated. Exactly. Come in, get the drip, and have this treated properly once and for all. So here I was, waiting for my name to be called. I was at the A&E this time because Dr. Devo was not in the hospital and he wanted things to get started as soon as possible. When I was ushered into the A&E bay, I was asked to lie down. A doctor, Dr. Trauma, came over and started asking questions. I had not taken paracetamol today. The pain had started to bother me. It felt really good to be finally laying down, although it was just a gurney. I had my eyes closed as I started to recite my hospital admission history, not caring if he was writing it down fast enough. I always believed when it came to handwriting, doctors compensated legibility for speed. So with that horrid handwriting, if he still couldn't write fast, he should just slap himself and get another job. Yes, I was not very kind when I was in pain. A nurse came over later and used me to teach a new colleague how to set an IV line. I was horrified. I suffered, and I knew it was not a very good job. I told her so, yet she insisted it was. I was pissed, yet too tired to fight. Later, they asked me to provide a urine sample. I was glad, as I was curious to see what the lab results here would reveal. The antibiotic drip started shortly after. The nurse told me I could wait at the A&E bay for my room to be ready. Amid the traumas experienced by other patients around me, I found solace in a fully reclined position while waiting, eventually drifting into a light doze. When I finally got to my room, hunger set in as I had not eaten much earlier in the morning. Considering the experiences of the past years, I had adopted the habit of refraining from eating too much before an unexpected hospital visit, mindful of the potential need for immediate scans or procedures that might necessitate fasting. Before I could finish my lunch, my dinner was served. That was how crazy my day was. Dr. Devo came by towards the evening. "The only other reason I can think of for your recurring infections is being immunocompromised," he asked. "The frequency has reduced, unlike last year," I defended. "You were less frequently admitted, but you still did have a few UTIs, and now there is this potpourri, which I don't even know how to explain." He had selective good memory. Just when I thought he had forgotten things, he would surprise me by citing my life story, which was very inconvenient. You are still suggesting that I might be immunocompromised? I asked. We had been in disagreement on this matter for a while. Although I hadn't displayed any symptoms of this condition, I was aware that they could be invisible. I have arranged for a rheumatologist to examine you. She is a cooler. She will want to conduct some blood tests. She can only come to see you on Wednesday, which is good because I will start to go on leave on Wednesday, he announced like a robot while writing notes in my folder. What? You got me here, and now you're telling me you're leaving me? You cannot. I have separation anxiety. I started to scream. Don't worry, you will be all right. Says who? A cooler is the perfect embodiment of a motherly figure, very nurturing and caring. You will like her. Yes, I will like her, but right now, I don't like you. You dumped me at the A&E and subjected me to witness people in trauma. There was one guy with an ear dangling, threatening to fall off his head. Oh wow, really? I didn't know about that. Of course you didn't. It was an ear, not other dangling organs that would need a urologist's attention. And now you are leaving me. Hey, I did ask you to come in earlier in the month. I was here the whole time waiting for you. You were the one who delayed this. Yes, he did. However, I had a more important obligation at that time, one with a higher priority than my existing state of health. Everything could have been just about me. You know I couldn't, I said, feeling unnecessary to hash out bygones, despite him being involved in that too. I will make sure Aquila follows up closely with your condition. Let's call her now, he said, and immediately took out his phone to make the call. Don't do that. I can't wait until I see her. I tried to stop him, even though I knew he was like an ejected missile. Any effort to stop him, futile. She didn't answer. Of course she didn't answer. She is on leave and it is now dinner time. She might be on a date. Some people have a life. Sarcasm quickly became me. I will wait for her to return my call. That is kind of you. I'm still here tomorrow. Don't worry, you will be all right, he said reassuringly before he disappeared into the dark corridors of the hospital. There was a niggling worry at the edge of my consciousness, a subtle unease that flitted in and out. When Dr. Dewar announced his impending absence, slowly filling me with a lingering sense of disquiet without a clear cause. The worry refused to be articulated, making it all the more annoying. If I was at home, I would go to my piano. It was easy to channel my attention towards creativity and tranquility, but I was not home. What's that? I said, can you find me a ukulele? Dr. Dewar said, what is it? I said, are you for real? Dr. Dewar said, yes. He was immediately forgiven because he had this ability to make me laugh intentionally or otherwise in the most daunting circumstances. I would be here for at least 5 days. I believe I would be able to acquire the skill to play a simple instrument during this time. Unfortunately, it was not to be. Looking around the room, my gaze fell upon my laptop. Good, I had time to complete the last chapter of this book, the chapter that was initially intended to be the final one. I couldn't stay in my room after dinner. My roommate had an army visiting and she wouldn't let them leave. I couldn't write with all the distractions, so I checked the time for my next trip with the nurse, informed her where I intended to go, and then made my way to the lobby. After many unplanned admissions, I started packing extra whenever I travel. Despite my preparation, I had not anticipated an additional 5-day stay, so Warner would come by later to deliver some supplies. While waiting for her in the lobby, my attention was drawn to the piano. Apart from the security guard, all other hospital staff stationed in the lobby had left for the day. Considering the situation, I approached the security guard, recognizing the importance of seeking permission to play the piano to avoid complicating his job. Yes, please do, he approved excitedly while escorting me to the piano. Come play for us whenever you want. I obtained standing permission to play the piano at the hospital. It was not a big deal. I was sure that anyone could have a go at the piano as long as they didn't disrupt the piece or misuse the instrument. Nonetheless, my excitement was akin to that of a gleeful child. I had a thoroughly good time. Were it not for the visible cannula on the back of my hand, no one would have guessed I was a patient. Even after Warner departed, I lingered, continuing to play until my next scheduled trip, before finally returning to my room. Today had unfolded quite positively. Music can heal the wounds which medicine cannot touch, quoted the British reader. 3rd October 2023, Tuesday. I woke up with a sharp pain in my forearm, precisely where the cannula was inserted. I was afraid to move because each small motion triggered a notable discomfort that radiated throughout my upper right torso. Internally, I was screaming in silence as tears welled up in my eyes. I checked the area surrounding the insertion site. There was no inflammation. However, unseen injury to the inner elbow, being a delicate region with an intricate network of nerves and blood vessels, could lead to enduring nagging pain if the cannula was positioned in a certain way, most of the time unintentionally. "Can you reset my line?" I asked the nurse when she came to check my vitals. "It's not blocked and there is no inflammation," she said while examining my arm. "Are you sure you want to go through another line setup?" By now, I was certain. I had acquired a reputation in the wards as the bitch with spiderweb for wings, who everyone was hesitant to handle or come near. "I cannot tolerate this for the next 5 days. I will come by to flush your line after this. We will change it if you are still in pain." But I was in pain now. I let her be since she was going through her rounds, checking the vitals of all patients in the ward. I knew they were short-staffed because, with each admission, the number of nurses in the ward dwindled. Last year, I was even invited to one of their going-away parties in the pantry, an unexpectedly cordial gesture. One of the nurses even joked that with any more admissions, I might even earn a spot on the duty roster. I would be very good at orientating new patients. I ate breakfast very slowly with just my left arm. Dr. Devo came in shortly after I was done. "How are you?" "In pain. This," I said as I lifted my right arm too fast and winced. "It's not working. It has to go." I assumed an assertive demeanor this time. I had a strong desire for what I wanted, and I was determined not to endure any more suffering. He didn't question me. Instead, he promptly approached to inspect my left arm to find the site for the new cannula. Without diverting his focus from me, he directed Natasha, the nurse who came in with him, to fetch the trolley of torment. Upon its arrival, he efficiently set my IV line and confidently disposed of the remnants when he was done. "I will be on leave for the next few days, only back next week," he informed Natasha when he began writing vigorously in my folder. "While I am away, Akula will take care of her." He paused to look at me, probably assessing my state of anxiety, looking for signs of instability. He resumed writing and continued his instructions to Natasha. "I am reachable, but please WhatsApp, don't call. I might not respond immediately as I will be in another time zone." Knowing the ward nurses, his clear instructions, heavily laced with ambiguity, were going to invite unnecessary curiosity. I was sure of it. I was quietly laughing while observing them. I knew he had no qualms about sharing his whereabouts whenever I found him out of office. It seemed he relished adding a touch of mystery within the hospital wards. "Akula has full authority to discharge her upon completion of her antibiotic course," he continued his reciting of instructions. "Look up again. If she is fit to be discharged." I knew that last bit was for my ears. "By the way, I am nauseous. I think it is the antibiotic." "But you've had this before?" "I know, sometimes it does this to me." "It happened before, remember?" "I'm going to give you something for that." "For what? Nausea? More drugs?" "For nausea. This will be injected." As if that would improve my distaste for medicine. His goal was to keep his patients comfortable while undergoing treatment. If a problem was highlighted, his inclination was to address it promptly. As much as I loathed to be given more in medication, my nausea last year had caused a rapid and alarming weight loss which had threatened my stalwartness. Following his set of instructions to Natasha, he left. She accompanied him initially, but returned shortly afterwards to remove my other cannula. While at it, she asked, "Where is Dr. Devo travelling to?" As I said, his aura of mystery would attract nosiness. However, I hadn't anticipated it happening so quickly. The scent of his perfume was still lingering in my room. To answer her question would only foster a sense of notoriety. "You could have asked him when he was here," I replied with a wink and a smile to soften my sarcasm. She smiled back and quickly left. Lunch was served shortly. Despite feeling nauseous, I found myself captivated by the enticing aroma. Swiftly, I picked up the fork and began to eat. Midway through the meal, another nurse entered to administer my drips. Before that, she gave me an injection that would elevate my nausea. The IV line set by Dr. Devo proved effective. The clear liquid swiftly spread through my arm as it entered my veins. Unlike the cool paracetamol, this sensation was warm. A slight panic set in as I could feel it travelling to my head. Suddenly, I didn't feel well at all. Despite my efforts to continue eating, my movements slowed. I sensed something was amiss, though I couldn't pinpoint what. After 2 more mouthfuls, I took out my phone and texted Dr. Devo. "What's up?" I said. "What did you give me? Something is wrong. I am suddenly very drowsy." As soon as I hit send, I dropped my head on the pillow and drifted into unconsciousness. It was very inconvenient because for the first time in 2 days, I enjoyed my meal. It was lasagna from the kids' menu and I had a strong desire to savor every bite. Upon awakening, I quickly checked the time, realizing I had been asleep for over 3 hours. Still no response from Dr. Devo. My half-eaten lunch was nowhere to be found. I had to get him to stop the shots before they came in with the next one. "What's up?" I said. "I passed out after the injection. Whatever it is you gave me, please stop." With that done, I sat up and took a sip of water. The diet staff served me afternoon tea consisting of a curry puff and a mug of hot Milo. Despite my desire to eat more, I found myself unable to do so. Natasha came to inquire if I would like to move to a single room, which had just become available. If I was feeling so lethargic, I might have jumped for joy. I wasn't being demanding, but considering I'll be here for 5 days, I craved solitude and rest. My roommate seemed to have a significant entourage. I didn't know why she was admitted or for how long. I didn't notice any doctors coming to see her at all. She did not appear visibly unwell. A stream of people visited her almost every hour, and it was starting to get on my nerves. She left the television on all the time, even when she was not in the room. Yesterday, it remained on until 3 a.m. I had to summon the nurse to turn it off and ask her to go to sleep. It was an exceedingly vexing situation, one I hadn't anticipated. Not long after I moved to my new room, Dr. Devo came. "How are you feeling? Are you all right?" he quickly asked as he approached. "Please get rid of that shot," I cried. "But you were having nausea and not eating." "I would rather enjoy the nausea." "Okay, if it's not working for you, we will remove it." "I think it was working too well. How can I be nauseous if I am not conscious?" Although drowsiness was one of the common side effects of this specific drug, it seemed to affect me more profoundly than most individuals. I had initially intended to go to the lobby for the piano again tonight, but after being hit by the shot so intensely, I couldn't. I also couldn't focus on writing my book or reading. I almost skipped dinner for slumber, but I didn't, remembering what happened during my previous admission. When the nurse came to check my vitals this evening, I registered a fever. It was convenient that my paracetamol drip started soon after that. My sleep was restful, interrupted only by drips. 4th October 2023, Wednesday. I rarely slept beyond 7 a.m. regardless of how ill or fatigued I was. The sky was still dark when I awakened. It was very pleasant to experience the dawn in solitude. I did that a lot when I was on vacation when I had no specific places to be at a particular time. Shortly after, my phone pinged. I had some idea who that might be. Not many texted at this hour. "What's up?" Dr. Devo said. "How are you feeling?" I said, "Morning sickness." Dr. Devo said, "I tried to give you something. You didn't want it." I said, "I know. I didn't like that. Just let it be." At that moment, I realized a doctor's job was to treat. His instinctive reaction to his patient's problem was to offer a solution. If I didn't desire the remedy, it would be wiser to remain silent rather than create a situation for attention. It was akin to throwing his concern back at him, which wasn't a particularly appreciative gesture. Despite my restful night, I had not felt my best. When the nurse arrived to administer my drip, she was surprised to find me still reclining in bed. Typically, I would be sitting up, either engrossed in reading or tinkering with my laptop. "Are you okay, ma'am? Are you in pain?" she asked. "No pain. I am just not feeling great. Probably the onset of nausea." "You are in the midst of an infection. You are not expected to feel great." She was right, and I value her concern. I simply lack the energy to be cheerful. While I wouldn't claim to be delighted that I was in the hospital, it was the right place to be at this moment. Who knew the scale of complications I might get into if I insisted on not getting my condition sorted out? After breakfast, I went back to sleep and only awakened for meals. Persistent drowsiness lingered throughout the day, and I kept myself mostly in a fetal position to avoid nausea and pain. the nurses were starting to get very concerned. They came in to check on me at a higher frequency. With the paracetamol drip adhering to its schedule, my pain score remained low. Unfortunately, there was no scoring system for the inclination to vomit. I drifted in and out of sleep and was only fully alert towards the late afternoon when a nurse came in to start my drip. I didn't give her my full attention as I was engrossed in checking my phone for messages, one of them from Dr. Devo. "What's up?" Dr. Devo said. "How are you?" I said, "Well rested." Dr. Devo said, "Has Akula come to see you?" I said, "Not yet." Dr. Devo said, "She's probably very busy having just come back from her leave." I said, "Yes, she sent a message. It's okay, I can wait. I'm not going anywhere." "Did you manage to get some rest on your long flight?" Dr. Devo said, "A bit." I said, "Good, have a good day." Right after I put away my phone, the nurse casually inquired, "Whereabout is Dr. Devo?" Had she been reading while I was texting? I was aghast. I held a high regard for the privacy of others, including my husband and children. In return, I expected to be treated with the same consideration, even though my actions were neither scandalous nor secretive. "I will answer questions on his behalf after I am hired as his press secretary," I responded in the manner in which I was asked. After being asked the same question by 10 different people over the past 2 days, I entertained the idea of calling Dr. Devo to suggest the posting of an official memo on the ward notice board for his fan club. However, since he was 6 time zones away on a crucial assignment while grappling with jet lag without any time to acclimate, I would be heroic and help him manage his congregation of followers for the time being. Dr. Akula arrived at nightfall. I felt a sense of warmth emanating from her as she came towards me. Dr. Devo was right. She presented a motherly comportment. "I'm sorry I couldn't come to see you earlier. After being away for a few days, I had a full clinic today," she said apologetically. She had not yet done anything, but already evoked feelings of comfort and a sense of security. "It's all right. I'm not going anywhere for 5 days. I hope it's still 5 days. I looked at your file before I came, but I want you to tell me about your admission history." She couldn't have just looked at my file because I had files, plural, not just a file. And reading Dr. Devo's handwriting would give one a nasty headache. "Then I suggest you take a seat. It will take a while." And I meant every word. She took out her pen and started taking notes, showing a heightened sense of empathy, particularly when I shared my struggles in AMC. "When did Billy Rubin came in? Why did you need him?" she asked when I was halfway through. "Oh, he is still far away. We will get to him eventually." I thought I was being very casual about it, but her shock made me anxious. Were my past infections showing a pattern signifying an underlying immunocompromised condition? When I was finally done, she was speechless. "You have been attended to by several doctors?" she exclaimed. "Yes, I am collecting all of you like stamps now." That elicited an unreserved laugh from her. "You have been tough. Going through treatment was challenging, but the recovery process is even more demanding," she pointed out. "Thank you, but I am better this year. I was a different person last year. Devo did a great job pushing me to confront my fears, which is why you are here now," I said. "Don't worry, it is always better to find out a condition early if there is any, than too late. Devo is very meticulous with his follow-up. He is not saying you have an immune system-related problem. He wants to make sure we are treating the right condition and rule out other possibilities." She was very good at settling my unease. She proceeded to conduct an examination looking for any visible signs of autoimmune disorders. There was none, which pleased us both. Subsequently, she inquired about my family history, delving into specific issues faced by individuals with autoimmune disorders. To confirm and to find out specifics, she wanted a series of blood tests. I was accustomed to blood tests, so I thought nothing of it. After reassuring me that she would return the next day, she left. In just under an hour, she had coddled me with her attention and kindness, patiently addressing all my questions. Her departure left me yearning for more of her company, much like Dr. Devo's. This evening, I also received my UCS test report. Mixed growth. Multiple bacteria were indeed present in my urine sample before I started antibiotics. Nevertheless, since I was already undergoing treatment, this merely reaffirmed the results of my earlier UCS test that put me in here. 5th November 2023, Thursday. Right after breakfast, my room door flung open and the audible approach of the trolley of torment became apparent. The blood bath would soon be underway. On the heel of the nurse guiding the trolley was Dr. Troma, whom I recognized him from the A&E. I knew he was here under the standing instructions of Dr. Devo. The line set by Dr. Devo was blocked, necessitating the insertion of a new one. Simultaneously, an adequate amount of blood needed to be drawn for the tests required by Dr. Akula. When the cannula needle pierced my vein, blood did not spurt into the collecting tube. Instead, it dripped very slowly, eventually coming to a halt. Dr. Troma had to continually and slowly massage my hand to expedite the flow. His quick and precise setting of the cannula had spared me considerable discomfort, but now he had to make sure the tubes were sufficiently filled. "How many tubes do we need?" he asked the nurse. 8, she replied guardedly. "What? 8? At this rate, we will be here all day." Was that a significant amount? Would I pass out? How big was the tube? I didn't pay attention at first, but upon hearing this, I made a quick glance at the gleaming stainless steel trolley. I didn't even know what was the capacity of a tube. Surely 8 of it couldn't be more than half a pint of blood, or else I would surely pass out. Dr. Akula needed 8, non-negotiable, emphasized the nurse again. As an MO at the A&E, Dr. Troma was prepared for chivalrous emergency medicine. Right this moment, trapped up here, squeezing out blood drop by drop, likely wasn't his usual heroic routine. "Do you want to sit down?" I asked, observing that stooping for so long while standing might be challenging for him, particularly for a person of his height. "Thank you, but I am fine," he replied bashfully. Well, at least I put forth the suggestion, establishing my concern and care for his comfort. His wanting to remain tough and macho was entirely his choosing. Thus we found ourselves in a state of quiet awkwardness, him massaging my hand and gazing at it absently, the nurse suddenly engrossed in the stagnant traffic outside, and me lying on my bed counting squares on the ceiling. It took forever, but eventually we had 8 tubes. Phew. "What's up?" Dr. Devo said. "How are you?" I said. "You didn't tell me Akula is a vampire." Dr. Devo said. "Yes, she likes blood. Any more pain?" I said. "Less." Dr. Devo said. "We need CT to rule out stones." I said. "If I had stones, wouldn't I be jumping through the roof now?" Dr. Devo said. "You're on painkillers. Please consider CT." I said. "No CT." I had to restrain my reflex to reject his suggestion for scans. What was causing my hesitation? Was it the fear of potential complications or the apprehension of radiation exposure? It had been a year since my last CT scan. I shouldn't be worried about the latter. This unsettling and puzzling unease gripped my mind without a clear or rational cause. I needed to identify the source of this tension. When Dr. Akula came to see me, I was full of questions. I could pose those questions to Dr. Devo and he would answer them, but I didn't want to distract him from his current task. I have not managed to call Devo, but he is aware that we are doing a full workup today, Dr. Akula informed me. "It's quite all right. He texted me earlier. He suggested CT to check for stones." I said. "That is a good idea," she responded immediately. "I didn't expect that. It is better to rule out all possibilities before I send you home," she continued. I was in conflict between agreeing and disagreeing with her assumption of my fear of excessive radiation exposure. However, I also knew that both Dr. Akula and Dr. Devo did have my best interests at heart and would not carelessly dismiss my concern. "Okay, arrange it. I should just get this done and not let Dr. Devo's investigation be hindered by my bullheadedness." "Dear Dr. Akula, thank you for mothering and coddling me. I needed that more than anything else." "What's up?" I said. "You win. I will do the CT. Akula will arrange it." Dr. Devo said. "Great." I was brought to imaging in the evening. The CT urogram was a very quick scan, just as described by Dr. Akula, almost like an X-ray. Shortly after I returned to my room, my phone pinged. "What's up?" Dr. Devo said. "Have you done the CT?" I said. "Yes, I got back not too long ago." Dr. Devo said. "Any stones?" I said. "I don't know. No one has informed me anything yet." Dr. Devo said. "I will find out for you." Leveraging his position of power to ensure my peace of mind, comfort, and convenience was the most heartfelt gesture he had done for me. But in this case, I knew it was also because he was impatient to know the outcome for himself. WhatsApp? Dr. Devo said. No stones, I said. Great. Don't worry about me. Ace your mission. Dr. Devo said. Thank you. 6 October 2023, Friday. I woke up this morning feeling better, my appetite improved, and I was able to sit up from bed without experiencing nausea. I spent the day writing this book, catching up with texts and emails, and taking short naps randomly in between. With time, everything would right itself. WhatsApp? Dr. Devo said. How are you feeling? I said. I will survive. Dr. Devo said. Gloria Gaynor. I said. The one and only. Dr. Devo said. Did you do another culture test? I said. Yes, yesterday. There were no limits to his deep sense of responsibility. He took the obligations entrusted to him with the highest level of diligence, even when he was 12,000 kilometers away. Feeling more rejuvenated this evening from all my naps, I headed to the lobby. Immersing myself in the joy of creating music was incredibly satisfying. At close to midnight, the lobby was deserted, as it should be, given that visiting hours were long past and the shift change had taken place earlier. Midway through a song, I became aware of a man filming me discreetly from behind a pillar. Although still playing, I quickly scanned the lobby to ensure the presence of at least one security guard. The entrance door to the building was locked. Questions swirled in my mind. Who was this person and how did he manage to get in here? Since I didn't stop playing, he approached, eventually settling into an armchair nearby. Uncertain if he was waiting for someone, I was less worried with the guard patrolling the area. When I finally checked my phone for the time, I was shocked to discover 5 missed calls from the hospital. The nurses in the ward must be searching for me. It was already past the scheduled time for my drip. Swiftly, I rose, closed the piano, and pushed the chair back to its original position, ensuring everything was in order before I left. I then briskly walked towards the elevators. The stranger seated on the armchair stood too and intercepted me. My initial panic dissipated rapidly as soon as he initiated conversation. Please don't stop. I was enjoying listening to you play, he said. Thank you, but I cannot. It is time for my drip. The nurses are looking for me. If I don't get back soon, they might call my doctor, and I really don't want that. I can come back down in an hour if you're still here. I suggested without processing what I was saying. I had to be mad to come back down to play the piano in the lobby at 2 a.m. What? An hour? I'm supposed to be on my way home already, but stop when I heard you play, he said as he walked with me. Sensing my discomfort with his presence, he introduced himself. I am Hunt. I am a surgeon here. I just came out from an emergency surgery. Ah, that explained it. I was less nervous after he introduced himself. I play too, but I don't have much time for it now. You were playing all the songs that I love. Thank you. I'm glad you love them. I play on TikTok if you're interested. And I got myself another follower. He had a TikTok account too, but his posts were all hand surgeries. Yikes! When I reached the ward, the nurses were frantic. She's back! One of them shouted and quickly hurried me into my room to start my drip. My attempt to maintain a quiet profile in the hospital didn't go very well. 7th October 2023, Saturday. I'm coming back, said Dr. Devo on the phone. Yes! I shouted silently. Then he added, just that it will take 24 hours. Oh, shoot. We delved into the events that unfolded during my stay in the hospital, him addressing my concerns and me receiving clarifications. With the diminishing frequencies of my UTI occurrences and milder symptoms each time, we held a firm belief that things were gradually improving. However, occasional exposure to stories of chronic and acute incidents resulting from ignorance of subtle symptoms could trigger alertness, even though my confidence in the overall progress remained strong. I'm happy to hear that you have got your assignment sorted out. Have a pleasant flight home, I said and hung up. During lunch, Dr. Akula visited and shared the news that my UCS test results were negative and happy at the prospect of discharging me. Nevertheless, she advised a follow-up appointment in 2 weeks, allowing sufficient time for all my blood test results to be processed. She wished me well and left. I didn't rush to pack or change, knowing that the discharge process took time, just content in the knowledge that I was, at last, heading home. 8 October 2023, Sunday. My phone rang. It was Dr. Devo. He must have touched down. "Welcome home," I greeted him when I answered the call. "Well, I'm not exactly home yet. I just stepped off the plane." He could be so literal sometimes. Plus, I wasn't exactly at his home, was I? "How are you?" he continued. "So far, so good. Did Akula tell you about the outcome of your blood tests?" "In 2 weeks." "Any more pain?" "Less. I think it is going away. It could be from the infection." "Are you still in the city? Do you want to come in tomorrow for me to do an ultrasound?" "I'm still here, but I need to be home to sort out a situation. I will come see you in 2 weeks when I see Akula, or earlier if I'm not well." "Yes, let me know whenever you are not well. No need to stick to the follow-up schedule." "Thank you." 2 little words that sounded so casual, but barely the depth of my endless gratitude. "Dear Dr. Devo, despite the circumstances that brought me to you, I'm glad we met. You have changed my life without trying, and I don't think I can ever tell you how much you mean to me. I cannot imagine what things would be like if I hadn't met you." 23rd October 2023, Monday. 2 weeks flew by fairly quickly when one was not weighted down by tension. Knowledge, experience, and faith changed me. I learned not to be spooked by every minute detail of uncertainties. I also learned that life doesn't pause for my comfort. I simply had to confront whatever life threw at me and stop being a victim. This time, as I stepped down from my ride, I walked with renewed determination into the hospital, heading towards Dr. Akula's office. There was only just one patient before me. I didn't have to wait long. "Good morning, Consul. How are you?" Dr. Akula greeted me jovially as I stepped into her office. "It depends on what you're going to tell me. Apart from that, I am as great as can be," I replied. "Well, Consul, I have good news and bad news," Dr. Akula said solemnly, and immediately my demeanor faltered. As humans, so inclined were we to focus on the negative, we have forgotten that the positive carries equal chance and attention. Dr. Akula continued, "The good news is you are not immunocompromised. Everything came back clear. I am very happy to tell you that you don't need to see me anymore." "That is fantastic, but what is the bad news?" I asked. "The bad news," she paused for suspense, "is that you are stuck with Devo." Never thought motherly Dr. Akula was a mischievous jokester too, but she was immediately forgiven because of the marvelous news she brought me. With the absence of new reasons for me to dwell upon and the reduced occurrence of UTI, I thought I should conclude this memoir. I deliberated with myself on whether to include this chapter because my word count was getting excessive for a non-fiction work such as this, and overwhelming content could very well contribute to reader fatigue. "You should not care what the recommended word count is," said my son. "When you read it again, will you change anything?" "No, although I removed 50,000 words from my initial draft." "Exactly. You write this book for yourself. It is for you to read again and again because it will remind you of a period of significant transformation in your life," he encouraged. "Don't follow industry guidelines based on popular opinions and profitability." With his words, I clicked on the button that said Add Chapter of my typesetting app and delayed the completion of this book. At 16, my son often surprised me with his discerning perspective that extended beyond his years, which made him my favorite conversation partner. His combination of dark sarcasm and childlike playfulness occasionally got on my nerves, yet more often than not elicited historical tearful laughter from me. His wisdom returned me to a time before I became consumed by responsibilities and compromises, a period when I hadn't lost myself. I was grateful for this reminder. As I closed this chapter, I found myself reflecting on this journey filled with challenges but also triumphs. Each medical procedure and every emotional moment brought me to a point of cautious optimism. Just when I thought I navigated through the storm, an unexpected event emerged. Although it was not entirely unexpected, I was thrust into a situation that tested my resilience, clarity of thought, and determination. Every bit of courage I had sought to cultivate since the start of this memoir would now be put to the test. Thank you very much for listening. If you would like to keep following the story, click here to listen to the next chapter. And if you're new, you can start from the beginning by listening to the full playlist here. Don't forget to subscribe so you'll know when the next chapter is released. Until then, take care, take a deep breath, and I'll see you in the next one.